Okay, good morning, party people. It is January 29th. I cannot believe it's almost the end of January. This is insane. Okay, so for our daily reading today, we are in the prophetic books. So we're in Jeremiah 5:6. Love Jeremiah. Jonah 3:4. I love Jonah as well. Revelations 19:20, Psalms 89:90, and Proverbs 24. Okay, so that is our daily reading for today. So we are back in the book of Hosea for our Bible study. So we've already gone 1 through 4. We are now in chapter 5. So we just finished Amos, and there are some differences between the two of them. So I'm just going to highlight those in case those of you that have not seen any of my previous videos or our Amos study. Let me show you on my little map where Hosea is. Remember, it's important as you read the Bible that you understand who wrote it, when they wrote it, who they wrote it to, because it really helps you process what's going on. Otherwise, it makes no sense. I mean, it's hard enough to understand. So this is a beat up little map that I've had forever, but it's super helpful, at least for me. So hopefully you guys find it helpful as well. So I'm going to show you here what this map is showing you is this is the timeline of the nation of Israel, right? So we had Saul was the first king, then we had King David, and then his son Solomon. When Solomon's son Rehoboam took over, the kingdom split. These guys are usurpers, right? This is the northern kingdom. They're known as the kings of Israel. These are the kings of Judah down here. This is the Solomonic line. This is the line, the Davidic line. This is the line that Jesus traces his ancestry through, okay? So you've got this line right here, this division line right here. That is when the northern kingdom falls to the kingdom of Assyria. Now, the southern kingdom, the kings of Judah, they last all the way till over here, and they fall to the king of Babylon. And then we get the story of Daniel, right? And we've already studied these guys when they went back and rebuilt Jerusalem. But remember, during these falls, there's always been a remnant, right? They never completely removed all the Jewish people. There was always a remnant here. The capturing entities, the nations that took over, would bring in their people and try and displace a lot of the other people to control the populations. But there was always a remnant. Oh, so let me show you where Amos is. Hosea. Okay, so here we just finished the book of Amos. And then now we're in Hosea. So this line right here shows the fall of the northern kingdom. So Hosea is preaching right before the fall of the northern kingdom, right? So what you're seeing with Hosea as opposed to Amos, Amos really came against the kings of the north because of the social instability that had come about and the perversion of the justice system, right? The poor were becoming poorer, the rich were becoming richer, but not through anything natural. It was all perverted and taken over by corruption, right? The judges were judging for a bribe. The prophets and the priests were performing their functions for bribes, and they had these false temples up in the north. And of course, the false worship is what brought all that in, right? When the minute you turn your back on God, then everything becomes corrupt. Everything becomes polluted within the society. And so, and where are you seeing that now? So all of this stuff has current day applications, right? When we're studying the Old Testament, we are seeing current day news just revealed in the Old Testament, right? It's very sad. So what you see here in Hosea, as opposed to Amos, Amos was more focused on the social implications of what has happened through the corruption of the religious circumstances. Hosea, they're at the end, right? They're about to go. They're about to be done in. And Hosea is just like, he's like, get your crap together. And he's focusing on the priestly class and the prophets and the religious sector because that's the source, right? That's where it's all coming from. And their perversion of what they're supposed to be doing is why they're where they're at, is why they are where they are at, and why they're going to go into captivity, right? And so Hosea is screaming at the top of his lungs. So here, not literally, although maybe, but just with his words. Okay, so here this section of chapter 5, the title in my Bible says, Impending Judgment on Israel and Judah. Now, Judah, remember, anytime you hear the mention of Judah, that's the southern kingdom. But Hosea is from the north. So he's from the north and he's prophesying to the north. Amos was from the southern kingdom when we studied Amos, and he was sent to the north to prophesy against the north. But Amos is in his hometown, right? So everybody knows him. He knows everybody. And so here he goes. So chapter 5 says, Hear this, O priests, take heed, O house of Israel. Give ear, O house of the king. For yours is the judgment, because you have been a snare at Mizpah and a net spread on Tabor. The revolters are deeply involved in slaughter, though I rebuke them all. So that first section, chapter verses 1 and 2, it says, take heed, O house of Israel. He's directing it to the north. Give ear, O house of the king. So again, he's speaking to the king, but of course they never pay attention. For yours is the judgment, because you have been a snare to Mizpah and a net spread on Tabor. So those were places of worship, right? The revolters are deeply involved in slaughter, though I rebuke them all. So this verse, chapter 2, they went on and on about this in the commentary, about how even in the ancient days, with the original texts of the Bible and all the Septuagint and Vulgate and all this, they were naming all this stuff. They were saying that everybody was having trouble with this verse 2, and it was interpreted multiple different ways. And so what the people that I read said that a way to understand this is that the revolters are deeply involved in slaughter. They're not talking about the slaughter of the animals through ritual sacrifice. It's meaning deep corruption. So the revolters are deeply involved in deep corruption, though I rebuke them all. So even though God's rebuking them, the corruption is deep, right? And it says, verse 3, I know Ephraim, and Israel is not hidden from me. For now, O Ephraim, you commit harlotry. Israel is defiled. So Ephraim is in the northern kingdom. When the kingdom split, 10 tribes went to the north, and 2 tribes went to the south. So the 2 tribes in the south are the legitimate kings. The ones in the north, the major tribe up there, you often hear them referred to as Ephraim. You also hear them referred to as kings of Israel. But the Ephraim was the major tribe. That's the most predominant tribe up there. So he's calling that tribe out, but it represents all of the northern kingdom. So verse 3 says, I know Ephraim, and Israel is not hidden from me. For now, O Ephraim, you commit harlotry. Israel is defiled. So the one thing that they said about this, in Israel is not hidden from me, that means their sin, right? So what they were doing, their harlotry, is not hidden from God. They think it's hidden, right? They think that they're doing these things in secret, and then they're going around pretending to be holy, right? They had places of worship up there that were false places of worship, and they were worshiping false gods, but they were mixing in the way you worshiped God. And so they were pretending like they were worshiping God, but they were not worshiping God. So he says, Israel is not hidden from me. So he sees everything that they're doing and that they're committing harlotry. Israel is defiled. That's what he says. So verse 4, they do not direct their deeds toward turning to their God, for the spirit of harlotry is in their midst. So that means in their deepest inner being. So when it says they do not direct their deeds toward turning to their God, so they're not repenting, they're not doing their acts to God. And then it says, for the spirit of harlotry is in their midst. And that was described as being in their inmost being. That means they just reveled in it. It was a part of who they were now. It was not something they were doing partly or haphazardly or just dabbling in. They were fully committed to harlotry. And then it says, and they do not know the Lord. The pride of Israel testifies to his face. So the pride of Israel is God himself. And God's, this is like a judgment. So the pride of Israel, God, testifies to his face. Therefore, Israel and Ephraim stumble in their iniquity. Judah also stumbles with them. So here he's referencing the southern kingdom. So he's saying Judah is starting to do the same thing. They're not where Israel is, but they're starting to do the same thing. So verse 6, with their flocks and herds they shall go to seek the Lord, but they will not find him. He has withdrawn himself from them. They have dealt treacherously with the Lord, for they have begotten pagan children. Now a new moon shall devour them and their heritage. So here it's saying, of course, that with their flocks and herds they shall go to seek the Lord. So he's referring to when the siege happens. When it does happen, there is going to be a portion of them that actually do try and seek God. They're going to take their herds and they're going to go and try and earnestly seek God and do things the right way, and it's going to be too late, right? God said it's going to be too late. But they will not find him. He has withdrawn himself from them. They have dealt treacherously with the Lord, for they have begotten pagan children. So that means their fruit is pagan. The fruit is not godly. Now a new moon shall devour them and their heritage. Now what's interesting about that phrase, for they have begotten pagan children, now a new moon shall devour them and their heritage. I'm about out of time, but I'm going to say this real quick. I heard a rabbi one time speak and give a testimony or a sermon about how whenever you see the moon in the Old Testament, it's referring to the Jewish people. So no one in the commentary mentioned this. So I don't know how prevalent this thought frame is, but now a new moon shall devour them and their heritage. So that's interesting to look at it from that perspective, kind of do a Bible study on that. Okay, I am out of time. All right, we're just finished 7. Read your Bible. Jesus is coming. Hold tight for number 2. Peace.